I felt really lonely last night when you stayed in the office until I went to bed. I'd love for us to have a connecting wind down together tonight. I'm finally at a place in my life where I can prioritize my own self-regulation. I spent years in past relationships trying to take care of other people's needs and make sure they're happy and sacrificing myself. When I stay late at work, I'm valuing what's important to me. I'm not ignoring you, but it's not about work. It's this wall I feel between us. There it is. The pressure is on. I just feel like I can't think anymore. I feel this heaviness in my chest. I'm gonna go out for a walk. I can't talk and think when I feel my time is being hunted. You're witnessing what we call the protective swing. It's a quick shift from a sympathetic nervous system trying to fight for freedom and autonomy and independence down collapse into a dorsal state where they cannot think, they cannot mobilize themselves. So why do we feel like our life is on the threat when someone is trying to be close and reach out and want to spend time with us, sometimes in relationships, especially for those partners who used to be the anxious pursuing partner that overfunctions in previous relationship. Now in this relationship, when there's an approaching from a partner for connection, we feel like we are in a life or death situation that we are going to be intruded upon. So my name is Yizhao Martins, and this is the Happiness Game for Romantic Relationship podcast. Today, we are going to explore somatically how our various parts respond in a relationship, almost to overcorrecting in the past relationship where we are having a different role, the overfunctioning anxious role, and how the avoidant part is interacting with different parts in our system and create the scene that you just saw earlier. Stay tuned to the end for tips and a standalone meditation. Let's begin. So there are 4 parts I can see in my exploration of this dynamic. Feel free to get inspired and let me know your own version of the story, your own part, and how they interact. This is just my exploration in my own body. So the first part, if you've been seeing my videos before on attachment and parent-child dynamic, you're quite familiar with this part. It's a protector we call the firefighter. It's someone that blocks the heart. You will hear the voice coming from this place. It's very cold, very crispy, and very logical. And then they tend to prioritize work, hobbies, and some other self-care practices could be workout, and to stand in as a way between them and their partner's intimacy and connection. There's nothing wrong with work and workout and all the self-care and hobby, those practices, but do you go there to use this as a protective shield between you and your partner so you don't have the connection, intimacy both of you actually desire? So this part could show up as a block in the chest and throat area, and you hear the voice coming out quite crispy and quite cool, and then all the energy stay in the head. There's a cutoff between those 2 regions. So you don't hear resonance in the core, in the belly as much. And this is a very rational part of us. And this part, the typical motion is go like this. Or when you don't see the hand, you see a collapse in the chest slightly and tightening in the core and squeeze in the belly and the abdomen area to block any connections or energy traveling down through our feet and our heart. So the second part, that's kind of hidden, is being called an exile in internal family system, is a child. So in this case, I see the child looking up almost at the bottom of a well, looking up desperately, wanting to be attended to, and there are the need for connection. Their hands could be reaching up and saying, well, see me please, somebody see me please, I'm not seen, I'm not valid, and I would like to have some connection and some comfort. And this is the child could be in a previous relationship, also been exiled, and maybe shamed by either caregivers or previous partners for being too needy. So this child really got tucked away by whom? By a third part of us. It could be a manager, what we call is the inner critic, which is a very helpful and useful part of us that help us to screen everything, make sure we are following the rules and fitting in, not getting kicked out of the group or scapegoated. And that part is saying to the child, don't behave this way, so needy. You're gonna remember last time we behaved that way, somebody broke up with us, or our parents pushed us away, our parents shamed us that we didn't get what we want anyway. So don't go there. You'd better hide. You'd better stay away from this. And so I show up and I help us. So this part, it could be taking on a role called an inner critic by turning into other parts of ourselves inside and pass judgment, criticize them, blame them, and make sure they behave. They could also turn to the other side, to their partner, saying, you're the needy one. You're the one that's asking for too much from me. You're intruding on my autonomy and space. And why you're so needy, right? That's an outer critic. So either way, depends on the direction they're turning to. Their function is to make sure we're following the rules, that we don't get hurt again, we don't get scapegoated or kicked out of our group, that we stay in the relationship. It's a survivor part of us. And that part tends to be very intellectual, and you can hear the voice coming from a very heavy place. And that part tends to be very judgmental, and then also stay pretty up high, but has a lot of heat to it. Not as cool, but much heat. And there's some frustration in there, and almost getting ready to fight as well, and has a lot of power. And the next part that it is being, and there's could be also a part that tighten themselves up. That is what we call, after they begin beaten down to the shame, closed off. There's a lot of heat on the face, and there's a tightness in the face, and also going downwards. The energy is contracting into the bottom and feeling heavy in the heart, a little bit sad there. This is the outcome after the inner critic start to beat down this child part for so long, that they start to come into shame, and they decided there's something wrong with me, that I cannot show up as who I am. My needs don't matter. I shouldn't even have those needs. And that's a very harsh place to be. Are you watching this drama internally sometimes? Do you notice there are parts similar to those parts that I'm describing, or different, and how they interact with each other? So this is what I see when I'm observing internally, and also externally see how my clients interacting with each other, how their parts interacting. So I have some tips for you. If you are suffering from this protected swing, like previous in relationship, you're the one that pursues a one-in-more connection, and maybe you are ashamed, or maybe you learned that the past way didn't work, and then you swing to a hyper-independent place, hyper-autonomous place, then you're using some other self-regulation to cut you off from connecting with your partner. So the number one tip, you probably already know if you've been watching my videos, is to be aware and catch those moments when any of those parts show up. It could be you feel a tightness in the chest. It could be you're feeling the shame on your face. It could be that you're feeling critical of other people or yourself. You could also feel you're a little bit sad and desperate and wanting attention with this longing. Any sensations and that register with you that you're in that place, please try to verbalize it and name it to your partner and tell them where you are. Say, if you're noticing you're doing this swing thing, and you can name it as, you know what, I think I'm being really overcorrecting here from my past experiences in relationships, and that I want to protect myself. It feels really threatening for me when you're approaching me and reaching out to me. It's nothing to do with you. This is our dynamic, but I would like to name that I'm having a reaction here. Can you be patient and stay curious with me, and let's explore this together? I'm not putting this blame on me or you. We're having a situation, a dynamic here. Let's work together. A second strategy is, instead of giving way to this part of you want to run away, come to dorsal state and self-regulate by working out, going to your hobbies, whatever that you learned post-breakup, you stay with your partner, maybe not facing each other with so much stimulation and information. Try back to back, maybe lean lightly on the back, sitting together, and just feel each other's spine and the warmth and support. And also feel your sits bone on the floor or on the cushion wherever you're sitting, and noticing what it feels like to be supported by the ground or your cushion or your bed, and with each other without not too much information. There are information exchanging between the two of you when you have physical contact without words. So you are connecting in that way, but you do not need to talk as much and overflood your system in this time when the protector is saying, well, I want to be left alone a little bit. I'm a little bit afraid right now. So you're building tolerance. In some way, you're doing exposure therapy for this protector, the firefighter, to stay connected, but also have some autonomy. You don't need to do the way your partner wants you to do by doing this and that, but you can choose to stay connected in a space while having minimum stimulation. So now let's do a standalone meditation. You can do that with your partner together, or you can decide to use it by yourself. And we'll have some music. It's from Moulton Martin, Tears of a Lost Child. Feel your feet under the floor. You can rock the front and back and side to side of your feet. Feel fully connected to the ground. And notice your body. The majority of us is water in our body, which flows and has its own rhythm. It's very acceptable, very open to the frequencies around us. That's how we connect, influenced by other people. Yet we also have a physical form, our skin, our bones, our tissues. When you feel your bones, the feet of your bone, the bone in your feet, and your sits bones connecting to the floor or to the ground, you notice your physical structure. This is what contains us. This is what defines us in a way, in this space, in this time, that separate us from other people's energy and frequency. So we are connected to the ground, to the air surrounding us, and the frequencies surround us, but we're also independent. We are also upright. And notice if there's any part of your body has more heat and warmth than others. And that's the fire element showing up in your system that drives energy and travel into different area of our body, that drives us forward to achieve our goals. So if you are with your partner, you can feel the heat of their back touching you. If you're alone, you can feel the heat inside of you. Notice where that is, exists in your body, and notice where it's going to. Notice its quality, its frequency. Maybe you register that heat as one of your protectors and thank them for being present Thank them for protecting you and getting things done and making sure you're following the rules and giving you information that's important to you. And if you notice a heaviness and sadness in you, you can put a hand on that region and tell that part, you deserve to have connection, attention, and love. You are loved, my child. I'm here to see you, care for you. And I will be your primary caregiver, yet we can still be open to other people who are kind and wanting to care for you, see you, and co-regulate with you. And take a deep breath in and press your feet into the floor again. And notice your physical form. And maybe sway gently from side to side. And notice if you notice the fluid inside of you shifting and moving while you're shifting and moving your physical form. And notice if there's any space inside of you and around you while you're shifting and swaying. And take a deeper breath in, inside out. You can come back to this meditation anytime throughout the day you wish for a mini centering and checking in with your parts. Until next week, my friends.